Yeah, we need to foolproof this a bit more.
We're two fools.
Hells yeah. I don't. How much of this is going to make it into the housing or not housing? Dude. This is. Sorry, we just got done recording another podcast. This is TV Tuesdays or RNC Watch TV, depending on where you're watching it. Hopefully, you're watching it as a TV Tuesday because that means you're watching it from Kathy's awesome newsletter, Sex and the State, which you should totally be reading or watching. Well, I don't think we released a transcript, so watching it or listening to it from.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or Rob's amazing YouTube channel that he made for wherever is good.
But if you're watching this, totally go to KathyRiceandWoods.substack.com and subscribe and enjoy the awesomeness because it is a legit newsletter that is worth every cent of a paid subscription.
No, thank you.
I have to get the plugs.
I mean, you do, and I appreciate it.
So what are we doing this TV Tuesday on?
TV Tuesday. So we finished Queen Charlotte and we began The Bear, but we'll see what we get to. Probably we'll talk about all of it because why not?
Yeah.
Queen Charlotte, incredible. 10 out of 10. Loved every second of it.
The ending was so heartwarming.
Oh my gosh. When the freaking assistants to the Queen and King were dancing and then the old one was dancing by himself. Oh my God.
That one was really good. So, by the way, I guess we should just spoilers.
Yeah.
Lots of spoilers.
All we do is spoil.
But the ending scene too, where like she came in and he was like drawing on the walls, and then like they just both got under the bed and like had a completely like normal conversation and like were enjoying each other's company. It was like the most heartwarming shit.
And she looks at him and he's his young self. Oh my golly.
That was so well done. Mm-hmm. So freaking well done. Yeah.
Yeah.
They ended that right.
And I think as much as it annoys me that like it was kind of a fairy tale in the maybe he's actually into you but he's just mentally unwell or whatever fantasy, but like it's so real in that like you can be with someone for 40 years 30 years and commit to them and be a good partner to them, and at the end of the day they might be someone who is scribbling on the walls and who you have to like go into the bed to connect with. There are no guarantees in life, and there aren't any unalloyed happy endings. There are complicated, real trade-offs. And so many stories, love stories particularly, end with the wedding.
And gloss over all the inconveniences.
The hard work and sacrifice and compromise of building a life with someone. And I liked that this was about how do you keep going in the face of mental illness. That's the whole, or whatever you're dealing with. But I did feel like at the end of the day, like that's what the show, and maybe I'm biased, maybe I'm seeing what I want to see or need to see. But to me, the show is essentially about like if your spouse or parent or child is severely mentally ill, like what is that experience like for you? How do you cope? How do you adapt? The things that you do wrong and the things that you do right and the things you have to learn through experience. And it's so important because it's so common. So many of us have severely mentally ill people in our family or are severely mentally ill, and to examine that I think is really brave and admirable.
I thought they did a really good job. And I think it was definitely about exploring like that nuance and like actually showing like what happens after the wedding when like you actually have to grow with that person and like learn to live with them, and like it was really surprisingly well done. And I mean, I feel like they definitely didn't go into all the weeds because I mean it was only was it an 8-episode run? It was shorter than a normal season, which I mean it was a spinoff of Bridgerton, but still, like I feel like they used their time wisely in setting all that up and exploring a lot of the complexities and nuances. It was well done.
Oh yeah, I agree. The pacing was really good. I thought, and I wrote about this in my aforementioned Substack, but the scene that really got me was when Princess Augusta was telling Lady Danbury to stop crying. And it was so concise and so it like articulates how when it's not safe for you to feel, as it had not been for Princess Augusta, then you either crack or get hard. And you, if you feel like you can harden yourself, insulate yourself from your own emotions, not feel them when it's inconvenient or unsafe really to feel them, then you do that because it's not just your own safety often, but it's other people's safety that's on the line as well. But you can't harden yourself to your own emotions without hardening yourself to the emotions of people around you. And if you can't deal with a reality in which it's safe to feel your feelings, if that's not been your reality, then when other people experience their emotions, that doesn't seem safe to you either. Or it creates resentment because it's like, well, why do you get to safely express your feelings and I don't get to do it safely in my context? But I think any of that, if it happens, is subconscious. But the point is, like, when you're under difficult circumstances, you crack or you get hard, and that hardness separates you from other people. It separates you from yourself, from the emotions that are dangerous and, you know, that feel dangerous to feel at the time and may be dangerous to feel at that time. And you can't be separated from your own emotions without being separated from other people as well. Like, you can connect with them on a, like, intellectual level, but if you're not tapped into your own emotions, you can't connect with them on an emotional level.
Yeah, no, I don't think I have anything else to add for that scene. I liked it as well. Like, I thought it exposed more about her character than any other scene in the show around Princess Augusta. It gave you the very unique look into her character. Yeah, it was just a really interesting scene. But I feel like you got all the useful bits of that covered.
Yeah, it was really good. And it made me think about, you know, what's the point now where she has more safety than it sounded like she had when, I guess it was her husband or father-in-law who was dangerous was around.
Yeah, I'd never completely understood which one, but it sounds like someone she had to deal with for a very long amount of time was not remotely pleasant or safe to be around.
Yeah. Anyway, but like, so now at this point, like, you know, I think it's important as we get older to reevaluate our situation and like, do we have more ability to feel our feelings in a safe way? Can we be mindful of finding a safe context in which to feel our feelings so that we can connect with other people?
Yeah.
That's been something I've been working on.
It's something that I've been trying to also do to a degree, and it's hard work.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so any more to say about Queen Charlotte?
Not that I can think of. Trying to think of through the. I'm still want to know what happened to the king's like assistant.
Yeah, same.
Because they never. Maybe that was explained in Bridgerton itself, and they never went out of their way to address why it was just what's the dude's name? I always forget the dude's the queen's assistant, the guy that was dancing by himself.
Bigley or Quigley or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but I kind of want to know what happened there.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, that was it. I think
Okay.
that's the last thing that I had.
Okay, let's talk about the bear then.
That show was stressful. Good, but stressful. Everyone's just angry all the time.
Yeah. I like it. I think it's cool in that these are just things I don't know anything. Like, I have no idea what it's like to work at a restaurant. Like, literally no one in my family has worked in a restaurant, to my knowledge. I worked at the Kosher Cafe for one summer. Not even the whole summer. I got fired before the summer was over. But other than that, that's basically, and my sister, the same sister that told me to watch The Bear, worked for Jimmy John's for a while. Yeah. But,
I mean, they have that bread.
yeah, man, what a great time. And no, I have a nibbling who works at a sandwich shop. So there is some food service, but nobody's worked at a restaurant that I can think of anyway. So that's different. And then like it's interesting to see what like white working class Chicago is like. I haven't spent very much time in Chicago. It's I don't know. I feel like I know like white working class people here, but it's different from like a place like Chicago, where here it's been more like agriculture and there it's been more like industry, manufacturing. The Italian thing is interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Like, and I don't know if it's like an accurate representation of any of that. I mean, like obviously these are broad swaths of the population. It's not like one fictional family can represent, the wide array of people who might fall into those identities. But I don't know. It's an interesting like look into at least that family's context, which I would otherwise be very unfamiliar with.
Yeah, and I mean, it does seem somewhat accurate from what I've heard about people that have worked in kitchens. Like, they capture the stress part, and then like the whole online ordering thing, whereas like if you don't set something right, you just get overwhelmed with orders that you can never fill. Like, I don't know, they do a really good job of like capturing at least the stress aspect. I know I keep hitting on that, but like I felt stressed after the first episode in a good way. But yeah, I've been to Chicago a couple of times, but I've only been to very select parts. So I don't know how it actually plays in to the setting that it's supposedly set in. But
I like how there's like mystery as well. Like, you're like, what exactly happened at the fancy? I think it was the French Laundry that he was supposedly at. The bear was supposedly at before.
oh yeah,
Like, yeah, like what actually was like the final straw.
I have a feeling they'll eventually touch on that.
Yeah, but it's like, what led up to the brother shooting himself? Like, what were the business dealings? So many like unanswered questions that just like keeps this tension going, where you're just like, you really want to know.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they're setting up a bunch of very interesting storylines, and characters and just character development throughout this first season so far.
Yeah, like even the assholes, they're humanized. Like the best friend, he's so awful, but then like he loves his daughter, and the girl who like is sous chef, She seems like she's got a lot of health problems. Those kind of hint to that. I don't know. It's like people are complicated, and the show, I feel like, does a good job of complicating its characters.
Yeah, like you definitely get a good view of opposing like personalities at play. Like,
yeah, and I really like the scene where Sugar is talking to Bear, the sister is talking to the brother, and she's like, this is embarrassing to admit, but like, you never asked me how I'm doing. And it's like, I felt like that was just so real that it is embarrassing to admit that you want someone to care about you, even if it's, maybe especially if it's your sibling, you know, it's embarrassing that they don't seem to. It's embarrassing. I think you want to get to a place. I think I'm working on getting to a place where I can not be embarrassed about something like that and say, like, of course I would want my sibling to care about me. I don't get a medal for being tough, you know, for like not being negatively impacted by rejection from the people who, you know, feel like it would be cool if they loved me. It's a survival mechanism. You know, if you can be rejected by your family and not be upset about it, like, kudos to you for surviving that. And maybe that's what's required to survive that. But if your survival isn't on the line, then like, maybe a thing to work toward is to have the full human experience. And part of the full human experience is that it's painful to be rejected.
yeah.
And you can't, again, like going back, you can't have relationships that are emotionally intimate with other people if you're castigating your own emotions and saying like, well, it's not cool or tough or, you know, efficacious for me to feel pain of rejection. So I'm going to castigate that part of me, and I'm going to pretend it's not happening or rake myself over the coals for feeling it or try to avoid feeling it. But it's like, well, that just alienates you from yourself and everybody else. And, you know, if it's safe for you to feel it, you know, just to avoid or to put off, because you're going to feel it at some point. That's how emotions work. They're going to be felt some way or another. Anyway, I thought that was cool. And then his answer about like, I can't feel my own feelings, so how am I going to ask you about yours?
That's their interactions or their dynamic has some very solid writing behind it.
Yeah, and I kind of like this. I feel like there's been kind of a move in movies and television to move away from like the romantic relationship is paramount, is central to like exploring these other relationships that are at least as important, if not more so, siblings, friends, parent-child. Like these relationships are important as well.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's nice actually having them focus on that, and also not just focusing on them, but doing a really good job writing them and like the nuances of them. It's definitely been refreshing, if not a bit stressful. Refreshing.
It is. It's a stressy show to watch for sure. You're just like,
Yeah. No, you definitely feel some tension. It's a good show to have a nice cocktail or something with.
It's kind of like the Fast and the Furious, you know? You're just like waiting for the car crash. You're just like waiting for the kitchen fire.
You're waiting for Vin Diesel to talk about family.
Exactly. Anyway, that's all I have.
Different representation of family.
You know, it's all family.
It's all family. Yeah, that's all I've got. I can't think of anything else now except for Vin Diesel. Oh, God.
And we're going to finish The Bear at some point.
We're going to finishing The Bear, and we'll get an episode. We need to, this is a suggestion that we do not have to follow up on, but I think we should watch Mr. Robot at some point. Just do one season of it, because there are 4 total, I think.
Mr. Robot is not bottle episodes, right?
No, it is a very long running arc.
Yeah. No, I'm down.
But also, we were talking about this show set in Chicago, and it's like I can't get a definitive read. And granted, I've only been to Chicago a couple of times. I can't tell how realistic to being in Chicago it is. But like Mr. Robot, that was one of the strange things is whoever did their location scouting and stuff. Like I felt like I had walked around parts of New York after watching that show. Like it was very realistic to the setting, to like to an absurd degree. And so I'd like to watch, like, you've been to New York too. I'd like for you to watch it and see if you get the same read.
Yeah, totally.
All right. Well, that's all I got.
Yay.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Bye.